Tonight, the Oval Racers of the Mythic Metals Truck Series presented by Spark Racing League will be trying out a new shape, the Triangle. We're here at Pocono tonight for the Dale O. Duncan Incorporated Water Systems Contractor Derby at the Triangle, and we'll have all 64 laps for you tonight here on Slingshot Racing Media. I'm Sky Shrek. I'm joined up here in the booth by Logan Threlkeld. Kobe Jordan is in the production truck as always. Logan, Pocono is called the Tricky Triangle for a reason. What are these drivers going to have to watch out for tonight?
Well, the biggest focus out here tonight, Sky, is going to be that turn 2, the tunnel turn. It is the epitome of tricky, if you want to call this the Tricky Triangle. That corner there, only 8 degrees of banking, and it's high speed. It's flat out almost in some cases, but a lot of times you really have to watch that rear end of the truck come around. It's going to be a tough one, but just all the different styles of corners that we have here tonight. Turn 1 has 14 degrees of banking. Turn 3 has 6 degrees of banking. So it's just troublesome all around the place, and tire wear will be a major factor on the night.
It will. We're going to give you a quick look at our schedule here for this season. Right now, we are in the 3rd race. It is Pocono. We're going to head into an off week next week, but we'll be right back after that with our first mile and a half of the season at Kentucky. Then Milwaukee, Talladega, and Portland will make up that stretch of races before we get another off week, leading into our final 3 races at Auto Club, Dover, and Homestead. It's a very diverse schedule. There's a lot of different kinds of racing on here, tracks of all different sizes. And that makes for a really good schedule because you really have to be good at everything if you want to get the wins. You're watching Chris Smith in the 28 there. He won at Daytona, was up front at Rockingham, which was eventually won by Levi Cox. There's a couple drivers that always tend to rise to the occasions here when you have so many different types of tracks on the schedule. And I mean, just looking right now at practice, 2 fastest cars, Levi Cox and Chris Smith, your 2 winners from the last 2 weeks.
Smith taking home that win in week 1, Cox last week. And, you know, I just want to touch base on the comment about the schedule. It is very much a driver's schedule. Just exactly what you said. You have to be good at just about everything if you want to be competitive in this series here this season. And it's not an easy task. You've got a lot of drivers that kind of focus on one style of driving versus another. A lot of guys that focus on short tracks versus the intermediate or the super speedways. So it's not easy to adapt whenever you focus on one thing or another like that. So to see a schedule completed like this, it's top tier.
Yeah, for sure. We know the champion this season is going to be someone who's good at all different kinds of oval racing, and that's going to really make for some good racing here over the course of the season. We're getting into qualifying right now. These drivers will have 5 minutes to run their 2 laps, and it's a pretty full field tonight. 35 cars currently signed up to race, so there's going to be a lot of really hard racing and qualifying here of guys trying to get their way up the field. This can be a little bit of a difficult track to pass at with these corners. It can be really hard to go side by side through some of them, so you really want to make sure that you get a good qualifying time so you're starting up front and you don't have to kind of drive 30 spots up through the field here over the next 64 laps.
Yeah, it's a tall order to try to navigate that many cars. It's a pretty good sized field here. Last count that I had was in the mid 30s. We might have had a couple more late joiners there to increase that closer to that 40 mark. But it's going to be navigation, especially on this first lap. I know there's a lot of chatter about who's going to make it go 6 wide as soon as that green flag drops, and if they're going to play it cool. That's going to be a big question here as we drop that green flag, Sky.
Yeah, because you definitely can here. You see it a lot in real NASCAR. This track is extremely wide, especially down that front straightaway. You've got a lot of room to make moves off the green flag, and off the green flag is the best time to make moves. So I think we're going to see a lot of drivers sending it 3-4 wide down onto that front straightaway, trying to grab anything they can before we go down into turn 1. That's just kind of how this track works. You got to be wary, though, because this is a place that could really catch you out on cold tires. The speeds here are high. The corners here are kind of unlike any other racetrack. It's a discipline all to itself. So On cold tires, they get even trickier, and you got to manage that if you want to be successful here tonight.
Tire management all throughout tonight will be, as I mentioned, just a huge factor in this entire race. See down there in the bottom right, we've got that heartbeat monitor on the 00 tonight. Already up in the 110s. Pretty early to have a pretty good heart rate there going.
He told us it was going to be high tonight. Yeah, he told us it was going to be high tonight. We'll see how that progresses over the course of the race. We'll have that for you over the duration of the night. So we'll be checking in on Matt Karikoff there in that car, in that 00 car, as we head into the race tonight. But he's already getting after it here in qualifying, trying to set the fastest lap time that he can in order to get himself up the field for the actual race tonight. About half the field has set laps as we go under 2 minutes left in qualifying. Rest of the drivers still going out there to set their first time. You've got 2, so you can take your best of 2 laps here, and this is a track that's pretty even across both laps. While these drivers qualify, we're going to send it down to the national anthem, and when we come back, we will have results from your qualifying session. Stay tuned.
Hey partner, I'm Barry, your pocket crew chief, the very first AI-powered mechanic for sim racing. Got a car that's a little loose or tight? Just tell me how it's handling, and I'll whip up instant setup recommendations just for you. Want me to get even more precise? Snap a picture of your setup, and I'll fine-tune it to perfection. And hey, I'm not just about giving orders. I'll explain why every adjustment matters, so you can really understand your ride. I'll even teach you the science behind the setup. Ever wondered why the track bar is so important? I've got the answer. With Pocket Crew Chief, I'll make you smarter, faster, and race ready. So what are we waiting for? Let's build to win.
We are back here. Qualifying has just finished, and we're going to get you the grid shortly as we go through a quick 5-minute warm-up session for these drivers to get them more accustomed to the racetrack here, make any last-minute changes that you need to make. One last chance, try to get this car under you before we start this race. And I'm looking at the qualifying order right now. There's a pretty big gap here in lap times between some of the cars front of the field and some of the cars at the back of the field. I'm also seeing some really good drivers, guys like Braxton Deweese, who we see up front every week, didn't set a qualifying time, so he'll be rolling off from the back tonight. Gonna have a lot of work to do to get up to the front.
Yeah, it's not easy at all. I know I keep saying that, but this track is so hard to pass sometimes. It's so flat that it really just poses that extra challenge. And right now is that perfect time for some of these drivers to get some more experience in the dirty air and trying to find that extra line that will work. You see right now on board right behind Dylan LeBeau. We'll see if he tries to take advantage of this extra opportunity. Takes a look to the inside. gets a good run. That's what you're going to have to focus on right there. Tunnel turn, turn 2. If you can keep the speed up through that turn, it's going to be big in the long run of this race.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the most important turns on the racetrack because it's a corner that's really, really difficult to hit.
Not to
Kind of
mention
that corner, but only one of them really works, so you've got to be faster there.
And going from the tunnel turn to turn 3, it's just so flat and long. You know, it's a long sweeping left turn. It's not quite as how do I want to say this, radiused, I guess, if that's a word, as what you would typically see. And that's that extra, tricky in the tricky triangle. Whenever you add 3 corners instead of your typical 2 or 4, however you want to look at it.
Let's check in on that heart rate monitor on the 00 of Matthew Karakov, because I have seen him loose in this warm-up session. It's gone up a little bit, up to 117. He hit the wall a couple times in qualifying. He's been loose here in this warm-up. Yeah, in the wall again there, and you see it spike 5 BPM as he does that. He is really going for it behind that wheel, even in the warm-up session. He'll bring it into the pits now, and it'll immediately start to drop. It is so cool to have that on that 00 car here tonight. We're going to be watching that over the course of the race for sure. About a minute and a half left in this warm-up session right now. A couple drivers still making their kind of last laps here, getting ready to go. Someone's into the back of Carrico from the pit lane. James Danforth right now out on track. He was a driver that did pretty good in the Xfinity Series. Didn't get a win, but he was up there. He was contending. He's trying to run his warm-up session in that 88 car right now, going down the straightaway. There's another car out here. This is Brobst in the 5. That would be Robert Brobst. Didn't have the qualifying effort he would exactly look for, but he's going to hope to get that up here later on in this race. He's got about one more lap here with 52 seconds left. You're looking at the qualifying result. That's not the qualifying results. That is the warm-up results right there. It is the same top driver, but it is a different order. Those are the results for our warm-up. You can see Devin Jack fastest so far. Levi Cox second. Evan Pienta third of the cars who have ran laps.
Yeah, that's a big gap there, even just in the warm-up practice between our top 2, then Pienta coming in about a 10th slower than Devin Jack. And over the course of 64 laps, if this thing goes green sky, that's going to end up being a pretty big gap.
It will be. We'll get these qualifying results in just a second once this warm-up ends and the cars take to the grid, and you are going to see quite a big difference in the qualifying speeds for some of these cars up front. Pretty big gaps just between those first few cars. There's only a couple of seconds left in warm-up, and then cars will begin the gridding process for our race tonight. And once that begins, we'll be able to get you those qualifying results. But I'm seeing some really interesting stuff up at the front of the field that we're going to have to watch out for. On pole, the Evan Pienta Designs pole award will be Devin Jack, and he got it by a lot. A whole 10th of a second faster than Ellis Thomas, who will roll off second tonight. Chris Smith is on the inside of row 2. He'll start third. Levi Cox. Those are our 2 winners this season, third and fourth. Rye Jones has been fast. He'll roll off fifth. Dylan LeBeau on his outside in sixth. Brandon Ayers, we're in the 16, rolls off 7th. Johnny Rapp in the 52 and 8th. And row 5 will be Chris French in the 53, Derek Smith in the 66.
Back here in 11th will be the 55 of Evan Pienta. That's going to have Aiden Neese in the 45 on the outside row of row 6. The 00 of Matthew Karakov starts out in 13th, next to the 14 of Tony Caputo, starting out in 14th. Ryan Phillips takes the 27 to a 15th starting position, next to that 88 of James Danforth. Laura Wiseman in the 84 gets 17th to start the night, with the 11 of Brian Brobst to the outside. Last but not least, in our top 20, it's the 98 of Dan Berg and the 5 of Robert Brobst.
Starting back from there, Zachary Mitchell rolls off 21st in the 23. Steve Vest 22nd in the 60. Rob Liedl on the inside of row 12 and 23rd in the 80. Paul Hahn 24th in the 7. back through your field. Rounding out the top 25 will be Sean Mulholland in the 39, Scotty Phillips 26 in the 29. Dade Grajewski rolls off 27th in the 6th, Tom Lickard on his outside in the 99, and the last two in your top 30 will be James Barker in the 77, Paul Thomas in the 42.
In 31st, it's the reverse, the 13, Jake Mackey making it tonight. Was worried that he wasn't going to be here. And then it's the 63 of Max Cost. I know Max is feeling a little under the weather coming into the race. Hopefully things are sorted out for him. We'll see him at the end of it. And we've got Chase Berry in the 46, the 56 of Jacob Phillips, and last but not least, the 44 of Patrick O'Toole.
And he's not showing up on there. I think it's because he hasn't run a time in either practice or qualifying. But we also have Braxton DeWeese. He will roll off from last tonight. EOL penalty given to Tony Caputo for this race, so he will also go from the back of the field. Those two cars are to the rear. As our field works their way into turn 3 right now, we'll be going this lap. Pace car is going to pull off as we exit this corner, and these top few cars are going to go down into turn 1. We'll see if they get 3 wide. We'll see if they even get 4 wide here. Anything is really possible at Pocono on these restarts. Pace car is off. It'll be Devin Jack and Ellis Thomas leading them down. And the green flag is waving. It's out for Devin Jack. We're underway at Pocono.
Saw one slightly look to the inside, but no 6 wide like they were worried coming into this one.
Not at all. We got Steve Vest, who has started from the pits tonight. Everybody else still out on the track. Devin Jack is working that car on the top line, but he's pretty loose up there. Struggled through that corner. Now we're seeing some more of the 3 wide here that these guys were fearing. We got cars all the way down there on the inside going into the tunnel turn, but it's a tight battle for the lead. Chris Smith nearly into the quarter panel of the 49 of Devin Jack. That slows him up, sets him back. Ellis Thomas has the run up the inside of that 28 car now, looking for P2. Chris Smith will fight back on the top through that long sweeping turn 3. Ellis Thomas loose on the bottom. That'll give Chris Smith the advantage on the top. He'll get that run out of the corner. A lot of drivers loose. The track temp today is 118 degrees. That's going to be the story of the night. Huge block for Ellis Thomas back there in 4th.
A good move there from Smith. That's exactly where you want to be, is the outside on turn 3. You get a much better run off of the corner. We're seeing it right now from Levi Cox around the outside of Ellis Thomas here. He's going to drop it down, put a little bit of a block on Thomas. Dylan LeBeau to the outside as well. He's going to get by. So Thomas immediately back to the 5th position, holding on for dear life to stay in the top 5.
Not been a great start to the race for him, and you can trace all of that back to him getting loose off of 3 last time around. He lost 2 spots by the time he even went down the straightaway. The front straightaway at Pocono is the longest straightaway we will go to all year, so it is so important to get a good run there out of turn 3, or else you can lose 1, 2, 3 spots just down this straightaway alone. That's how important it is to get a good run through here. Evan Pienza's side by side up there in the top 10. He's going to take that 10th position away from Karakov in the 00. He'll get that spot off the corner. Karakov almost into the wall behind him, and we're still side by side all over the field here. You're looking off the back of Pienza right there, holding on to that spot. Karakov won't make a move to the inside for now. They'll make it through there okay. Pass for 8th. Derek Smith just got around Chris French.
A little bit of action up here in the top 10. A lot of side-by-side still at the back half of the field. Karakov looking to the outside. A little bit further behind here. We got the 45 on the inside. Aiden Neese tries to get a run around the 84 of Laura Wiseman. Wiseman gets back ahead, though, down the front stretch, and will have that advantage into turn 1. On board now with Aiden Neese. You can see right now, Sky, that bottom line is the dominant line here. Everybody running it as Aiden Neese goes out to the outside early. Nearly catches the wall, but forces Laura Wiseman down to the inside on that exit. Nice is going to get the run around the outside, but Wiseman has the preferred line for the tunnel turn. We'll see how Nice handles this, being stuck on the outside.
He got a big push from Robert Bropes there down into turn 2, and that was what got him clear. Now Bropes is going to try to get to the outside of Wiseman, and he will succeed. Wiseman struggling a little bit on that inside lane early. She doesn't have the speed down there that some of these cars have been able to get on the top. Bropes loose out of the corner, though. He'll still get the run. He's going to make it work, and we're going to go 3 wide. Brian Bropes go 3 wide with Robert Bropes. Laura Wiseman in the middle is going to lose 2 positions from a bad run out of turn 3. That 11 will get the spot down into turn 1.
But Wiseman's able to put some power down a little bit earlier here. See if she can get the run around the outside and get back up to the back bumper. And Bropes gets a little loose there on the bottom, so that's going to clear the 84. Well, to try to slide back in behind, yes, he does, right ahead of the 98.
These cars getting loose is going to be the thing all race. With those track temps, it's not going to get any better. The more your tires start to wear, the more loose you're going to get, and the more you struggle off these corners. This is a battle further up the field. Dylan LeBeau passed by Ellis Thomas. That 8 car finally trying to move forwards. 3's nearly into the wall there. A lot of blocking down this straightaway. You can get a pretty big draft here if you play your cards right. That's why everyone is following the 8 around. He is trying to block that 3 car.
You can see how much further Dylan LeBeau lets off the gas than Ellis Thomas does on that entry. That'll be a big tire-saving move coming out of the 3 there. If he keeps that pace up, that's very likely that we can make this a one-stop race, I believe, Sky.
We're going to see with 85% fuel load, it'll certainly be close, as it is with many of the races this season. What I'm really watching as this run wears on, we're about 8 laps into it right now, as we keep going, the tires are going to wear, and the only thing that's really going to matter is the run out of the corner, because the straightaways at this track are so long. They're much longer than your average oval racetrack. So if you get a bad run, especially out of a corner like turn 3, it's going to haunt you all the way down that straightaway. You're going to lose several tenths, so you really can't get loose out of the corners here. This is a pass back here for 9th. Chris French staying ahead of Evan Pienta in the 55. That car is going to try the outside lane. We've seen some cars make some time with that. You just got to be careful not to hit the wall out of 1.
Yeah, kill all that momentum that you could potentially gain down through that corner. That's your most banked corner here, so it's the easiest one to carry as much speed as possible. But if you ruin it on that corner exit, you're likely to lose at least 1 spot, depending on where you are in the field.
Absolutely. We've already seen it a couple times tonight, watching that 54 car of Levi Cox. He's getting a little bit closer to Chris Smith up there running P2. Cox was much faster last time around, but as they came to the line for that lap, Chris Smith evened it back out a little bit quicker than the 54 car. Tires are already starting to wear these lap times for the top few cars. Already about 0.8 of a second off what they were at the start of this race, so they're going to have to be careful over the remaining laps of this run. Doing a note, looks like a couple cars were saving a little more. Ellis Thomas, Rye Jones, who's just moved up into the top 5. Those guys had slower fastest laps compared to Devin, Jack, Chris Smith. So they were easing off a lot more at the start. Their play is to have a longer run car here, and we'll see if it comes back to them in about 10 laps or so.
Well, Sky, I tell you, one driver that's not saving by any means, it's that 15 of Braxton DeWeese. He's already inching closer and closer to the top 20. Up now to the 22nd position, where he started at the very back of this field with no qualifying time. That 15 is on a move. Already up about 14 positions.
He's always fast in this series. Put him from the back and he'll find a way to the front. He has passed, 15 cars now. Really quick out the gates for that 15 car. Might need a little more time to get himself up to the front because the gap from him to the leader right now is so big at this track. But if we get a caution here towards the midpoint of this race, that would be huge for Braxton DeWeese. Would let him get closer to a top 10. We're going to have a battle up here for second because Chris Smith just got majorly loose out of the corner. That's setting the 54 of Levi Cox up for a move. down to the inside into turn 3, but now he's going to slide up the racetrack. Has to let off the gas to avoid getting into the side of the 28, and Chris Smith is clear with the position, and he's quite a bit faster moving down the straightaway there. 2 seconds faster than that 54 car at the line. Will give him a big run down into 1. Caution is out further back. Looks like Brian Brobst, Braxton DeWeese, and about 3 others involved there.
So DeWeese, all that momentum that he had, it's gone in a matter of a second.
Yeah, we're going to watch DeWeese right here. He's running about 20th when it happens. There were a few other cars involved. Brian Brobst, O'Toole. Oh, DeWeese into the back of Rob Lidl. It looks like that 80 got loose off the corner. Or the 80 was trying to check up off the corner. That was Brian Brobst around in front of him. Rob Lidl was trying to dodge that accident that occurred further up the racetrack, and DeWeese just got in the back of him. That's further up there. You see Brian Brobst go around, coming off a 3. DeWeese just didn't think he was going to check up that much for that wreck. We'll see how this happens. This is actually in front of Brobst even. This is a couple cars up the road. 45 starts to go around. That's how that happens. That 45 car. Patrick O'Toole, or no, that's Aiden Neese, gets loose off the corner, and that's how he goes around.
There's a little bit of contact there with the 98 as well. That kind of sent Aiden Neese down to the inside wall. It's a big hit for a couple of the drivers here. That's going to be pretty detrimental to some of these drives tonight.
Absolutely. Aiden Neese got into a couple cars there. He got into Patrick O'Toole as well. Laura Wiseman also involved in that one. A little bit of contact with the outside wall there. Good few cars caught up in that. So that's something that we're going to have to pay attention to. Here's that spin for that 45 car. Yeah. Just loses it, catches a couple other cars out there in the midst of that. Not an ideal situation at all if you're that 45 car. Or if you're the 15, he was just trying to move up through the field. Kind of just got involved there. Wasn't really expecting that sort of checkup to happen off the corner.
Well, Sky, just to shed a little bit of a spotlight here for a moment while we've got a little break in the action. If you recall last week, the sponsor for our Rockingham race, Cody Glenn Cox. It was the Beer Talkin' 123 last week. Well, fun fact for you, that song releases very, very soon. It'll be up in just a matter of a few days here. Cody Glenn Cox, you can find him on YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. Facebook does have a link for you if you find that page to pre-save the new song on Spotify.
Yep, you can find it on all the streaming platforms, and it'll be available for you in a couple of days. Devin Jack misses the pit box. That is going to be a problem. He might lose a spot off pit road. We're going to be watching this. He is going to lose a couple spots. A lot of fuel only, a lot of 2 tires, and that's going to give Chris Smith the advantage out. Hornet's Nest behind him. Looks like Ellis Thomas got out ahead of Devin Jack, ahead of Rye Jones, ahead of Dylan LeBeau back there.
So Devin Jack just barely through the box, but loses 2 positions. However, still the fastest car on the track. He had about a half-second gap there for a while, so I don't expect to see Jack staying here very long.
Yeah, we saw some 2-tire there. We saw some gas and go there. A lot of cars came in, didn't even lift up the right size, just took about 6 or 7 seconds worth of fuel and then came out. Definitely a play for the fuel mileage here. They think if they get fuel now, they can make it a one-stop race, and then assumedly they'll come down later and get those tires on. Everybody has 2 sets left in the pits that they can use whenever they want it at some point in the race. So that's going to be the strategy. There are a couple cars who took 4 tires. Levi Cox, for one, went off strategy, came down, put 4 tires on it, dropped back to 13th. Matthew Karakoff as well got 4 tires on that thing. And then a bunch of cars further towards the back as well. Johnny Rapp, Dan Berg, Jacob Phillips as well. So we're going to have some cars on this 4-tire strategy, but the majority of the field looked like it was fuel or 2 tires only there. So varying strategies going on, and we're going to find out which one is more successful if Levi Cox is able to pull his way back to the front.
Well, Sky, while we've got another 2.5 mile pace lap to go, what do you say we talk to our heart rate monitor participant on the night, Matthew Karakoff?
I think it's a great idea. Let's get him in here. Hey, Matthew.
Matthew Karakoff, Logan and Sky up here in the Slingshot booth. You got a copy, buddy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, man, so far, not the race you were quite expecting. You found yourself back here just inside the top 20. We've been taking a look at that heartbeat monitor that you've got displayed for us. What are the nerves like right now, being in the middle of this pack?
Yeah, I'm high strung when I'm in the lead or when I'm in the back, so I'm really high strung here. I just want to take those tires, hoping for a long green flag run here.
So you're on a little bit of a different strategy from some of the field. Was there any additional information you can give us on those tires at all? How are they looking after that 11-lap run?
I don't know. My tires aren't turning like these. I can't cut into the turn. I don't know if I didn't give me enough rear brake, but I just can't get to the bottom and get a good grip off. So I just took tires, hoping that that'll equalize once I get up front and maybe get up to about 10th and equalize to where I was. I'm struggling here.
Well, you've got plenty of time to figure it out. Going down into turn 3. We'll get you back to your team here. Good luck on the restart, Matthew.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for all y'all do.
That was Matthew Karakoff. Up front, it'll be Chris Smith. He's having some internet issues right there. It'll be Ellis Thomas on his outside. The green flag is back out. Great jump for Chris Smith. Ellis Thomas spins those worn tires, and he doesn't really get going. Gonna lose second potentially to Devin Jack coming down here into turn 1. He's got Rye Jones all over him as well. This is going to be an interesting run into the corner with so many cars on worn tires. Devin Jack will get second. Ellis Thomas will try the crossover. Coming out of 1. Going to get to the inside down the straightaway, but the 49 is still clear. Caution out. Car around at the back of the field. It is Max Carter or Sean Mulholland.
So Mulholland goes down to the inside. I don't think he made contact with the wall, though, so that's a best-case scenario. A little bit of assistance here from the 6.
And we're going 3 wide there already. A lot of moves being made early in the run like we thought we'd see, especially through the tunnel turn. And it's contact from Dave Grajewski in the 6 that sends that 39 car, Sean Mulholland. Little bit of a scrape maybe to the inside wall, but nothing major. He'll survive without any damage there. Probably going to need a new set of 4 tires on that thing, but he should get away without too much damage. Probably the best case scenario for a spin like that, especially one where you spin to one of the narrowest parts of the racetrack.
Yeah, it was a great job to lock it down there for Sean Mulholland. Keep it off the inside wall. Continue your race on the night. A hard shot to the inside can certainly end the night early, and not even a quarter of the way through this one. That'd be a kind of a heartbreaker there for the 39.
Absolutely. You never want something like that to happen this early in the race, especially in a format like we have in the Spark Series. We do full season points here. You can ask Levi Cox from last season. Just one bad race can really throw off your title hopes. You got to be on your game every week. You can't really afford an early DNF. Braxton DeWeese didn't DNF, but he is having some early trouble. He's gone to the back of the field, and for a guy who is going to contend for the title in this series, you don't want to be stuck in last a quarter of the way through the race.
Well, he started at the back of the pack, made his way up to nearly the top 20. I think he got up to the 21st position before getting wrapped up in that first caution on the night, picking up some damage for the 15, so he'll have time here to get it repaired. It's a very, very long pace lap around Pocono, 2.5 miles here at only 70 miles an hour or so. So it takes quite a bit longer than most tracks, even the super speedways. So that's going to play into being a big factor for DeWeese getting back to 100% in the 15 truck and back out on the racetrack.
We have a couple takers on pit road. Devin Jack who is running up front, is going to lead them down. He will put 2 right sides on the car. We'll see if he goes for lefts as well. Right side comes up, right side goes down. Left side comes up for the 49 of Devin Jack. So it's 4 tires for all of these cars still in the pit lane. Devin Jack will head out now. He will be joined in there by Chase Berry, Brandon Ayers. Chase Berry took fuel only. Brandon Ayers took 4 tires. Evan Pienza took 4 tires. Patrick O'Toole, fuel only on that stop. Paul Hahn, Jake Mackey, both taking tires as well. James Barker, Brian Brope, Sean Mulholland, also in the pits for 4 tires. So it looks like we got more takers onto that 4-tire strategy that cars like Levi Cox and Matthew Karakoff adopted last time around. We'll have more cars trying to see if it'll work against these guys who are on 16-lap-old tires now at the front of the field.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how Devin Jack was able to navigate around the 8 of Ellis Thomas, got back to the number 2 position before that flag came out, and then brings it right back down. Evidently found something they didn't like on that restart with the older tires. So maybe trying to find that extra little bit of an advantage here. Maybe the slingshot cars up here at the front of the pack, maybe they've got it figured out.
We saw a couple cars up there towards the front of the field spin their tires on that restart, so that's something that these guys are going to have to watch out for. If you were one of those cars who spun your tires on the restart, nearly went around, you might have had a moment where you went, oh, this isn't working, and you immediately pulled it down into the pits at the next possible opportunity to get 4 tires on that thing. I think with the fall off that we were seeing on that green flag run, if we get a run here of about 10 or so laps, that 4-tire strategy is definitely going to pay off for some of these guys. Just depends on if we actually get that long run or not.
Yeah, the longest run so far being those first 11 laps. Unfortunately, in this case, caution breeds another caution. We'll see if they can put it back together here this time. Try to put together that green flag run that we all know and love here with the Spark Racing League. But coming out of turn 1, you see turn 2 down there in the distance. About 2/3 of a lap left to go before we see that green flag drop.
Devin Jack going to be the first car who just pit on that caution for tires. He will be rolling off in 23rd here tonight. We'll also be back there as well, along with Johnny Rapp and a couple other cars who took fuel only. So that's going to be kind of the play here, but Evan Pienza and Devin Jack will lead those cars on 4 tires off 23rd, 24th, back there respectively, and those two will try to make their way to the front of the field. I think they'll certainly be able to do it. They'll certainly make spots quick, but having much faster cars on 4 tires like that, passing slower cars on older tires, can sometimes lead to that kind of cautions breed cautions where you've got faster cars hitting slower cars and it all kind of gets crazy back there. So you never know what's going to happen. Had 2 cautions already. We're going to look for a green flag run here as we go back green on lap 18 of 64. The pace car is off. Chris Smith, Ellis Thomas don't spin the tires up front. Very even start for those two as we cross the line.
With those slingshot cars off to a great jump here as you see the back half of the field start to fan out 3 wide towards the back. 3 wide up here at the front as well, right inside the top 10. It looks like Chris French down there on the bottom trying to take advantage here of the situation, getting stacked back up. Big movement down the track out of turn 1. Gets it sorted though. Back to single file for the first 5. And it's double file all the way back through the rest of the field.
Levi Cox on 4 fresh tires, moving his way up to 6th. He was that car we saw get really loose out of the corner. Another car big time loose out of 2, back down all the way on the inside of the track, trying to gather the car back up. That 54 restarted in 9th, has gone to 6th, and you can tell he is a lot faster than these guys here in the corners. Moving that car up to the bumper of Derek Smith, and he'll look to get around him and Rye Jones as we go down to turn 1. Battle for second. Ellis Thomas, Dylan LeBeau in the 8 and the 3 cars. LeBeau is going to take a peek to the outside, but it's a good run down into the corner for the 8. He'll hold him off for now. Ellis Thomas has been blocking hard down these straightaways, but he won't be able to get to the inside to stop LeBeau here. We'll go side by side for P2 as the 3-car holds that run on the inside, and he's got him moving. 8 will let him go so he can try to drop down to the inside in the tunnel turn, but he won't be able to get there. He's got Levi Cox gaining ground on him, and Rye Jones is going to try to get back to Levi Cox out of the corner.
Jones with a pretty quiet night so far. Got Smith to the outside right now. As Levi Cox gets a great run through turn 3. He's going to battle back here for that second position. Or apologize, that third position. Gets around Ellis Thomas. Now Cox is going to look to try to catch back up to the top 2 here. So he's nearly to the bumper of LeBeau already. A little bit more of a wide line there through 1. Rather than the top 2 ahead of him, and immediately drops to the inside. Tries to get that run down this short straight here. And Cox does get the advantage back up to the second spot.
1 more to go, and he'll have the lead, and he's big fast into that corner. Kind of has to let off a little bit so he doesn't get into the back of Chris Smith. We'll see if he tries the outside here or whatever line the 28 doesn't run. That is exactly what he will do. The 28 will drop down to the bottom. Levi Cox, couple lanes up on the top, getting his run out of the corner on those 4 fresh tires, and he'll get to the door of that 28 car. Levi Cox clear out of 3. He'll be your leader across the start-finish line, and he'll get clear as we head down into turn 1. Those 4 fresh tires very clearly working for that 54 car as he's driven his way up to the lead. A little further back, Evan Pienta started back in 23rd, 24th on those newer tires. He's driven it up to 13th. We're sideways up here at the front. Chris Smith is in the wall. Derek Smith up to 2nd, and Ellis Thomas will try to recover to get P3.
That was a fantastic pass. I'm just looking back here at that turn 3 pass from Cox. That was perfectly executed around the outside. Exactly what you want to do. Just get to that back bumper right before the driver ahead of you tries to arc out and shut the door. That was just perfect example of how you pass in turn 3 here at Pocono. More contact with the wall out of 3. Right now, Levi Cox in the lead, Derek Smith in 2nd. Chris Smith takes up the 3rd spot. Ellis Thomas in 4th. Dylan LeBeau still riding here in the top 5. When will we see LeBeau start to move back up through the field? He's always fast at these tracks.
He is. I think he's one of these guys that seems to be taking more of a long-run oriented approach. The problem is we haven't had enough long runs so far in this race for LeBeau to make anything of it and get to the front. He's definitely been running a little slower on these short runs, biding his time, trying to manage what he has for later on in the run, but he hasn't been able to make it really work for him to get up so far. Oh my God, we're almost wrecking at the back. We're 4 wide out of the corner there. Someone got into the wall and almost stacked everybody up. That's kind of in the Aiden Neese, Scotty Phillips area back there. 6 cars under a blanket, side by side back here. Devin Jack will get that spot. He's trying to move back up to the field on those 4 tires. Tom Lickert's into the wall. That'll give Scotty Phillips the run up the inside of that car. And Aiden Neese lurking back here on the outside. Interesting mix of guys who have taken 4 like Devin Jack, guys who haven't like Lickert, Phillips, and Neese. We're going to have James Barker coming up behind him in the 77. That's another car who put 4 fresh tires on it. We might go 3 wide here with Laura Wiseman. She'll back out, resort to the outside lane, and we'll stay double file up here. This is some crazy racing back here in the mid-pack.
Laura Wiseman thinking better of it. That probably had flashbacks to last season, not necessarily at Pocono, but just the season as a whole. Very rough go for the 84. A lot of times getting mixed up in other people's mistakes, just getting taken out of races multiple times last season. Looking to turn it around here in the truck series, is maybe a little bit of contact made with the wall there from Wiseman. Keeps it straight coming down the front stretch, and look at that, the 11 all up in the business here, pushing down the front stretch as hard as he could.
As we watch this quick update further up, Dylan LeBeau has gotten around Ellis Thomas for P4. The 8 car let him go. Doesn't want to fight too hard. Yellow flag is out. Further back from this accident.
Oh, Patrick O'Toole.
He is stopped
Big
there
hit
in the
for
middle of
O'Toole.
turn 1. We'll get a replay on that, see what happened to that 44 car. You're right, that was a pretty big hit down into that corner for Patrick O'Toole. He's racing on the outside here of the 56. That's Jacob Phillips in that 56 truck. Contact between the two as they head down into one, and a huge overcorrection for that 44 car. Sends him head on into the wall, smokes the engine. His day is done.
As one of the biggest hits that you're going to see, that's coming off of the fastest part of the racetrack. Really no brakes necessary in turn one other than a light tap as you're entering the corner. But just came down a little bit earlier than Phillips was expecting, I'm sure. The 56 holding the line. The 44 just came down enough, and that's all she wrote, Sky.
Yeah, and you never want it to happen like that. That will definitely be the end of Patrick O'Toole's day. He started 35th, will finish 36th. One to forget for him at Pocono. We're going to see some pit strategy here, I think. We're going to see some of these cars like Levi Cox, Derek Smith, maybe not Levi Cox, but Derek Smith and certainly Chris Smith come down for 4 tires here. I would bet we might see some cars who were on those 4 tires come down and try to take advantage of the fuel here. We're going to see how this shakes out, because I think there's a lot of different reasons for a lot of different cars to play a lot of different strategies, and I'm very interested in what someone behind the wheel who hasn't pit for tires yet this race is thinking right now. I think it's certainly going to be 4, but from there, is it still a 1-stop? Are you good on fuel? How do you have to play this over the remaining 40 laps?
That's a very tough call to make, especially if you don't have a crew chief on top of the box. Some of these drivers, maybe with a little bit of extra assistance here, figuring out what to do, when to do it, but we are going to have some takers here coming down pit road. Quite a few, I might add, as just about everybody in the top 10 brings it down. Just about the entire field so far has brought it down, aside from Levi Cox, Karakov, Pienta. Looks like they've all stayed out. It's going to mix things up here in the top 10.
All right, so this is going to be a reversal of the last pit cycle. Everyone who came down last time is staying out. Everyone who stayed out last time is coming down. We're going to see who gets out of the pit lane first. They'll come out, looks like, in 10th right now, with 9 cars staying on the racetrack at the minute. Devin Jack will be out of the pits first on what looks like a 2-tire, maybe even a fuel-only stop. Chris Smith will follow him out on 4. Then it's Brandon Ayers also not taking tires. Derek Smith out as well. Yeah, Devin Jack looks like he only took fuel only. I think he was on pit road for 4 tires on that last stop. So a fuel mileage situation there for Devin Jack. I think Brandon Ayers running a very similar strategy. Pit last time for 4, and he's going to try to make it on fuel here with a fuel only. Those two will come out 10th and 12th. Everybody else in the field coming down for 4.
Guy, I want to say our fuel window of green flag racing is roughly 32 to 34 laps or so. So right now, I don't believe that we would be in the green, but a couple more cautions will put us right in that realm of finishing out this race on the last fuel stop.
Absolutely. This is a track that you can't really stretch it on fuel because it is one of the longer tracks on the schedule. 2.5 miles and you're on the gas for a lot of it, so you've really got to be careful here. You can certainly save fuel. This is a track that lends itself to doing that, but you've got to be careful while you do it. We've seen some cars here have some fuel issues. I believe one of the cars actually ran out of gas coming to the line at either Rockingham or Daytona, so these guys have got to be really careful out here. Lights on the pace car will go off. We'll go back green this time, and it'll be a new look front couple positions. Levi Cox, Matthew Karakov going to line up on the front row, followed by Evan Pienta, James Barker, Brian Bropst, Laura Wiseman, Jake Mackey, and Sean Mulholland. Your cars who didn't pit, Paul Hahn as well is going to roll off side by side with Devin Jack.
Couple drivers up here in the top 10 with that strategy call on this pit cycle. Will be up here in about the 20 area of positions gained. 2 of them above 20. We've got James Barker up 25 spots. Jake Mackey is up 23. Sean Mulholland with the good recovery here after seeing him spin down to that inside wall, the 39 back to the 7th position. up 17 positions right now. And then one more, Paul Hahn. He's up there in the 14 gain spot, running in 10th.
A lot of cars moving up through the field here, and a lot of it is on pit strategy here as these cars pace through the tunnel turn. A little short of halfway in this race, but we'll be there with only a couple more green flag laps. As these laps tick on, these drivers have only got to be more and more cautious because the track temp is still upwards of 110. Right now sitting at 115. It is so hot out here. All these guys who took fresh tires are going to have to be worried about cold tires, and all these guys who didn't take tires are going to have to be worried about spinning their tires right now. Pace car.
Be a big focus here on this restart.
Because a pace car's taking him through turn 3. Will pull off into the pits. You can see that sign back there. What turn 4? Levi Cox rolls it back to the green flag, and we're back underway. Good jump for him and Pienta.
And immediately gets a quarter of a second gap over Evan Pienta and Matthew Karikoff. Well before turn 1, Karikoff, Pienta are going to be battling side by side. It's 3 wide in the middle of the pack. The 7 of Paul Hahn stuck right there in the middle. Got battered there for a second, but it looks like it's starting to get sorted out. Hahn will be able to slide up. Now it's the 53, I believe, stuck in the middle here. Chris French, he's going to back out of it. Ellis Thomas trying to work his way back up through the field. It's a hornet's nest, to say the least.
It is for sure. It's always been like that in the mid-pack this race. These guys are really racing hard, trying to get positions up here through the mid-pack, and we've had so many different strategies being played. Chris Smith nearly just lost it out of 3. Great save there, but he'll lose 1, 2 spots. Caution.
Oh, we are going to get a couple.
It is Robert Bropes, Dylan LeBeau, and a few others back there.
LeBeau certainly caught the inside wall there. Heavy damage on the front of the 3. Back here on the replay, taking a look. It looks like I didn't catch the number, but contact with the wall right in front of LeBeau. That's going to collect both LeBeau and Brobst here.
Definitely. That is big hits for both of those cars. Not what they need at all, and I think that will certainly be the end of the race. Likely for Brobst, maybe for LeBeau as well. LeBeau is at least still rolling that car. Brobst, I saw some smoke out of his engine. I think he's likely done for the day. LeBeau was only saved by hitting on that backside.
So this is another thing to think of too here, Sky. It's at that point where this race could be taking a bit more of a mental toll on the drivers rather than a physical. Whenever you start pacing for 2 minutes per lap around this track, it can really get your feathers in a bunch.
Yeah, race car drivers are not exactly known as a patient bunch, and when you are pacing for as long as you are at Pocono, with how long the lap times here especially are, especially under pacing, it can really wear on you as a driver sometimes. It's going to be, I think, 2 to go at the line still this time right now, as everybody's still, pacing around here. The lap times under pacing are upwards of 2 minutes, and that can really, really suck as a driver in the car. More pit stops underway. Matthew Karikoff will come down. He's the only one of the guys who stayed out last time making a pit stop. Everybody else coming down was already at the rear of the field. Karikoff was one of those who came down about 15 or 16 laps ago, put 4 fresh tires on it. He will put 4 fresh tires on it again. If I am correct, that is Matthew Karikoff's last set of tires, so he is going to have to make those last over the next 34 laps here. You only get 3 sets of tires, and that is his 3rd set.
So bold strategy call coming from the 00 here. Be interesting to see if that pays off. It's going to give him track position later on in the run. If we have another caution, say around lap 50 or so, I would assume that anybody who hasn't pit here on lap 30 would come down the next time, because that would certainly puts you in the green on the fuel. If you came down for fuel this lap, if you have one more caution, you would be good to go as well. So, like you've mentioned, a couple different strategies here to think about. We've got the tire call, we've got the fuel call, we've got the long run, maybe even some of these drivers setting up for a short run. Late race caution, resetting the field. Put some fresh tires on and send it. That might be where we see the 6 wide happen into turn 1.
The remainder of that cycle of pit stops was, as we've seen all race, a mix of strategy. You had a couple cars come down and put 2 tires on it. You had a couple cars come down, take fuel only on it. So once again, it is very varied in the kind of strategies these guys are taking. And I feel like we have about 5 or 6 different pit strategies being ran throughout the course of the field here, which is really making this interesting for a lot of these drivers. Lights on the pace car will go off. Your fastest lap so far this race there has been ran by Levi Cox up towards the front of the field. He has been quick all day, and he's shown it in the lap times. Evan Pienta will be on his outside when we go back green. It's going to be the 77, James Barker, behind him on some pit strategy. Haven't seen him up here much this race. Brian Brobst, Laura Wiseman as well. Jake Mackey will roll off 6th, and then Devin Jack in the 49. First car who pit for fresh tires on the caution before this one.
The 49's kind of in a perfect position here as he has a little over, right at the 10 lap advantage mark over most of the top 6 ahead of him. He's got 14 over Mackey, 14 over Probst, 15 over Pienta and Barker, and 19 over Cox and Wiseman. So Devin Jack, watch out for that 49 on this restart. He could be flying here.
Absolutely. We saw that work after the first kind of 4-tire cycle for Levi Cox. Went flying straight to the front of the field, and he had more cars to pass when he did that than Devin Jack has to pass right now. So that is definitely going to play a role in how the rest of this race shakes out. I'd imagine Levi Cox and a lot of these guys are saving that last tire set for later in the race. Everybody up here only has the 1 left, and they've got to be careful with how they use it. Pace car will pull off. Going to be a pretty good jump for Levi Cox, but it's only because he got a good bump from James Barker in the 77 behind him. He'll get way out in front of Pienta. Barker will try to come with him, and the 77 and the 55 will be side by side into 1.
Don't forget about that 11 of Probst. He's right there, able to get a good run here. He could get around. He's going to go to the inside coming out of turn 1. As Pienta gets clear, and they're going to start snaking it down that short stretch before turn 2. Try to break the draft as best as possible. Cox trying to keep the 55 at bay. Pienta able to follow that bubble, as you would call it. But back here for third, it's Probst under fire now from James Barker. What will Barker do here into turn 3? And they're both going to go with a little bit of a wide entrance. There goes Laura Wiseman on the bottom, Devin Jack on the outside. Wiseman gets a good run. He'll be clear of the 49, and here we go again with the snake game down the front stretch.
We have the Indy 500 this weekend, and that's a strategy that's kind of borrowed from there in a lot of ways. This track isn't too dissimilar from Indy. They both have very long straightaways, and it's very easy to get a toe down the straightaways on both of them. So it's a similar strategy of swerving down to the inside to try and make it work for you to break the draft. Look at that heart rate monitor on Matt Karikoff right there. 136. He is working hard behind the wheel of that 00 car to keep himself in contention for this race right now. He's not even running up at the front of the field. He's back in 23rd right now, and he's still sweating it out.
Nearing that potential heart attack area in that 00. Definitely have to keep an eye on him. He's going to get a good move here to the inside. Rob Liedl stuck up on the outside in that 80 machine. Doesn't quite get the momentum he needs on the bottom, so he's going to lose that position back to Liedl. Johnny Rapp right behind as well, trying to pick up some momentum coming down the front stretch. And man, almost 140 for Karakov now in this battle.
Yeah, went up a little bit there as he tried to run it in the corner. We're 3 wide, a little further up the racetrack. Looking back here, this is going to be a few cars in this battle. Got that. That is the 84 Laura Wiseman right there. 13 Jake Mackey on the outside, and big move up the inside being put for Ellis Thomas in that A car. He's going to get clear working at it too. He'll get around both of those cars, and they'll stay side by side between the 13 and the 84 down through here. Laura Wiseman, one of those cars who is on those older tires, trying to stretch that rubber as far as it'll go, and right now it's not going far enough. She is falling back through the field in 13th right now. James Danforth gets around her as well, and she's got a whole horde of side-by-side cars behind her who are on those fresh tires looking to pounce.
Finally gets back into that single file line here. This is an opportunity for Wiseman to find the groove and just settle in. Follow the car in front of you for a little while, find out what they're doing differently from you and why they got around. And then you start to make your own moves and work back up through the field here. Side by side a little bit here just ahead of Jake Mackey. It's the 8 of Thomas now getting separation. He's trying to get back to the top. Well, he's already in the top 10. I apologize. He's already in 9th. James Barker right behind. Getting that gap put down now. This is those fresh tires really coming into play. 10-lap difference between Thomas and Barker. Now, Thomas has the challenge ahead of all these other drivers right now in front of him, aside from Brian Brobst, all the way up to Evan Pienta. They're all on the same strategy, so it's not going to be as easy for Ellis Thomas this go.
He's definitely got to play it a little more carefully here because he's working with a lot of those cars who are going to have the same 4-tire strategy as him. In a bit of a no man's land here in comparison to everyone else in the field. A little bit of a gap in front of him, a little bit of a gap behind him. But the gap in front of him doesn't really seem big enough for him to get clean air, which is what he would really be wanting in that car right now. We mentioned how this track is similar to Indy. Clean air plays a big role as well. This is Braxton DeWeese moving his way back up through the field at the minute. Had some issues early, but he's gotten the car back up to 17th here midway through the race. He got it up to 21st earlier before having to go all the way to the back. Good recovery for him. This will be a top 15 position if he can get around Brandon Ayers here. He'll have the advantage down into the corner into 1. Will he get clear on exit? No, but he does have a little bit of a run, so we'll stay tight side by side. He's got a draft off the 14 car of Tony Caputo in front of him as well, so that'll help carry him down this straightaway down into 1 and 2, and it's ultimately going to be a checkup from James Barker further up the road that gets him that spot. That is going to be 2 positions for Braxton DeWeese. He's up to 14th.
But immediately all over the back bumper of Tony Caputo, so a little bit of that momentum killed there. But DeWeese, he's going to be able to get around James Barker, as you mentioned. Now he's got to hunt down the 14 and the 13. And we've just got the 88 of James Danforth standing in his way from top 10 position.
And a green flag pit stop right now for Johnny Rapp.
Interesting call coming from the 52.
Yeah, he was on pit road about 8 laps ago. I'm not sure if he took tires on that stop. I don't think he did. I think he was on more of a fuel strategy. We'll see what he does here. He'll go fuel only right here. So this might be a play to make it to the end of the race for that Johnny Rapp 52 car. That is interesting.
It's very interesting. That's a lot of hope there that the rest of this race goes green. You know, if he would have stayed out with one more caution, very likely would have made it with a little bit of fuel saving under pacing. I don't know, maybe if we get another caution, we pull up Johnny Rapp and have a word with him when the action takes a slight break. But look at this 3-wide action coming down the front stretch. You get it sorted out before they get into turn 1. Man, that got hairy there.
I was going to say, we very nearly had a caution with Brandon Ayers there almost going around. That was close. We're single file up here in the first 6 cars, but you wouldn't really know it from how much they're swerving down the straightaways, trying to follow in the draft of all the cars ahead of him. Levi Cox still maintains that lead for now, but on that better pitch strategy, or on the newer tires, is Devin Jack. He's got the better rubber right now, and he'll try to make his way up around some of these guys like Levi Cox further up the field. Side by side for Matt Karakoff back there, 135 BPM still, as he's working on the outside of the 16 of Brandon Ayers, trying to get himself further up the field. He'll take 14th. Sights now set on Tony Caputo for P13.
It'd be interesting to see what the heart rate monitor looks like under a restart for the 00.
It would be. We can check that out if we get another one here. Some of these cars like Johnny Rapp are certainly hoping we don't get another one. I doubt Devin Jack is either. He likes where he's at on this pitch strategy, trying to get his way up through the field. We're side by side behind him. That is Derek Smith, one spot ahead of Chris Smith, and Rye Jones back there in that battle for 4th, between 4th through 6th. They'll stay side by side out of the corner. Slight advantage towards the 66 of Derek Smith as everyone starts snaking down the straightaway to try and break the toe. And we've got another taker on the pit road. That's Brian Brobst in the 11. Will this be the same fuel-only stop that we saw at a Johnny Rapp?
Guy, I'm going to have to go back and say that I think my fuel window calculation might have been incorrect.
Well, he's gonna put the jack up. Hey, he puts the jack up. He's got 2 tires on that. You'll get 4 tires on that. So an interesting call from that 11 of Brian Brobst. He is definitely hoping this thing goes green. He'll have clean air. He'll have 4 fresh tires. Well, is he going to make it out on the lead lap is probably the biggest question here. And the answer to that question
make it out there
is going to be yes. So Levi Cox is just coming out of turn 3 right now. And then that 11 car is getting it back up to speed in turn 1. So he will be back out on the lead lap. If this race goes green, that might be a great call for the 11. If it doesn't, he might be in a little bit of trouble. That's the gamble for Brian Brobst right now.
I tell you what would be really, really smart for both Probst and Rapp is for those 2 drivers to hook up here and share a draft together. That'll help save a little bit more fuel in the long run as well. If they're on the cut line here, whether they're going to make it to the end or not, just bounce back and forth on who's in the lead and manage that fuel saving as best as you can. That's why you're seeing a lot of these drivers right now not necessarily taking the risk to pass a driver in front of them. We've got Pienta, who's about a 10th off the back bumper of Levi Cox. You see Cox there taking a wide turn 3. Back to snake it down the back stretch. This is exactly why Cox is doing this. It's all about the fuel saving. If you allow Pienta to stay tucked up behind that back bumper, that's just going to help the 55. It does not help you at all. You're gaining more speed, but you're using more fuel.
That's definitely a factor in it for that 54 car. More takers onto pit road. This is Brandon Ayers in the 16 bringing it down. We'll see if he takes tires. We'll see if he goes fuel only. What's the play for Brandon Ayers? Right sides are up on that car. We'll see if the left sides go up too. Yes, they will. He's not the only car. Zachary Mitchell, Laura Wiseman also came down in the last couple laps. So these cars betting pretty heavily on a green flag run right now.
Johnny Rapp looking to have the early, or rather the undercut or overcut. Can't remember which one it is. As the migraine coming into this race is really fogging up the memory here on how to talk. But we're going to get through it, Sky. And right now, it's all about what's going on right here on the screen. We've got Jake Mackey up on the outside, Karakoff in behind. We've got the 14 looking to make a move on the inside. He gets to the door. Can he carry the momentum down through the short straight here? Going to be right back to side by side. The outside line prevailing here as Karakoff falls in behind Mackey. A little bit of an extra help on the draft. Mackey backs out of it here. Does not cut the tunnel as low as he would like, and he's going to lose that position now, potentially 2, as Karakov is now on the inside.
If we could show that last pit stop graphic again here, I was going to show it for Levi Cox, but he's going to come down this lap. It was 32 since he last made a pit stop. I was going to point out that that is basically the far end of the fuel window here, and he knows that. He's brought it down pit road. Have to imagine this will be a 4-tire stop for that 54 Levi Cox. He was your race leader, but he'll bring it in right here. I don't think we're far from some of these other cars, guys like Pienta bringing it down pit road, but Cox will be the first car of the lead group to do so, and he will put 4 tires on it. Chase Berry also pit last time around, so that's another car making a pit stop, getting 4 tires on it.
Well, we got a little bit of a 4-car grouping here surrounding the 63 of Max Cost. Rob Liedl's in it. James Barker right there as well. Jacob Phillips just fell out of the back half of the picture, but well, that was a good battle there forming between those 4. Now sorted itself out. Back up here at the front of things. Got Chris Smith looking to the inside now of Evan Pienta. He's going to get there before turn 1. Rye Jones now at risk, losing this position to Chris Smith. He's familiar with how these tracks handle. Taking home that first win of the season. And see if the 28 machine has what it takes to do it here in week 3.
We're going to find out. That battle is going for the lead there. We're going to go side by side, and side by side for second. Big one for Derek Smith. Slider up the inside of Pienta as Chris Smith looks up the inside of Rye Jones. It's for the lead of the race up there. These two are going at it. It's Rye Jones on the inside, Chris Smith high. And Rye Jones is going to bring it down into the pits. Evan Pienta will join him. Devin Jack almost goes around entering the pit lane, but he saves it. So that's 3 more cars right at the front of the field, bringing it down for 4 tires. And that'll put the 2 Smiths up right at the front of the field. I'll tell you what, we got a Chris Smith and we got a Derek Smith, and they have been battling with each other for pretty much every lap of the entire season so far.
So we've got Chris Smith, Derek Smith, Chris French, Braxton DeWeese, Ellis Thomas, James Danforth, Tony Caputo, Scotty Phillips, Ryan Phillips, Jake Mackey, all in a position right now where fuel might become a factor here shortly. Mackey would likely be the next one to come down as he is on a 30-lap run. Last time was a fuels-only stop, 5.2 seconds in the box. So that window's closing here. A lot of these drivers are likely going to be looking for that yellow flag to come out.
Both your leaders are into the pit lane, Chris Smith and Derek Smith, and we're going to have to check on if Derek Smith got a pit road speeding there. It was close. He came in side by side with that Derek Smith car, but it looks like he just dodged a penalty there at the last second. That'll make it a little tricky for that 28 to pit, but the 66 will get out of the way. We'll get a replay here on that pit road entry for the 66. He was really loose. He sent it in a lot deeper than the 28 was willing to, but as a result, almost got a speeding penalty. You'll see it right here, shaking that car as he tries to meet the maximum speed, and he just barely got it in time.
A good job nonetheless to get down to that pit road speed. You know, you're going from about 150 to 160 miles an hour roughly out of turn 3 all the way down to 55 miles an hour to meet that pit road speed. That's a whole lot of braking you have to do, and controlled nonetheless. That pit road entrance can be quite slick sometimes.
It can. Chris French has cycled around to lead of this race as he has not pit yet. Neither has Ellis Thomas or James Danforth there. I think the big loser is going to be Johnny Rapp. We saw him slow there. He had the smart idea. He came down immediately at the fuel window. The issue was he didn't put tires on it. He took only fuel, and that has really caught him out here for the rest of this race. Matthew Karakov in a similar boat of failed pit strategy. He's used up both his tire sets, and now he's up here in 5th. If he comes down, it'll be fuel only as well. I think some of these cars up here in this French Thomas, Danforth, Caputo area are going to make fuel only stops at the very end of this race just to try to spend as little time in the box as possible. It'll only be a 2 or 3 second pit stop for these guys, but it'll still be interesting to see how that plays out as we've got a couple more cars coming in. James Danforth, Tony Caputo. If you go fuel only like that, I don't think you're going to win the race, but I think you can certainly make up some spots compared to where you were before if you were someone at the back. Granted, we've now seen over half the field bring it down pit road as Dan Berg is also in this lap. That leaves 11 still out on the racetrack from Steve Vest on up to Chris French, who are looking to make that first pit stop.
So 11 still on the track without bringing it down. 15 laps still on the board this time by Chris French will make it, just 14 to go. Had a couple cautions to start this one out. It's since been smooth. We'll see if they can hold this one together till the end of these 64 laps as we start lap 51. Jake Mackey not in contention for a position here. Those fresh tires doing work.
There's another car of that top 10. Aiden Neese brings it in this time. I think we're hitting the point where some of these cars who are still out on the racetrack are just going to stay out for about as long as they can here to try to make it work. Karakov in the wall right there down the back straightaway. Let's check that heart rate monitor after he got it into the fence there for a hot second. See what that's at. Still at 135. Working hard behind the wheel. I don't think we've seen it crest 140 yet. It might have when he hit that fence right there. Loose again off the corner. That'll give that run up to the 27. And he knows he's got to spend the rest of the race on this set of tires. He's just trying to do what he can at this point to hold it up in front. Right now it is still Chris French leading this race. He won't come down. It looks like this will be the first lap in a little while where we are not going to have any takers at the front of the field. Still 10 cars out there.
Our top 4 right now have been out there for 26 laps, so about 5 or 6 laps left before that fuel cell is empty. And worst case scenario is to miss your pit road entrance, then have to go around one more time, run out of fuel somewhere on the track. You definitely don't want to see that, so you could call it a little bit early here, or you could keep pushing and hope for that yellow flag to come out, cycle you back out to the front of the pack. However, nobody's really laps down from this pit cycle. Dan Berg right now, 1 lap down, currently unlapping himself. And then Paul Thomas would be the next one in line there. He's working on getting himself back up on the lead lap as well. So yellow flag right now still even wouldn't be very beneficial for our top 4s. Ellis Thomas is now going to bring it down pit road as I'm saying that.
He'll be the next car of the 10 cars who have not pit. Looking at Levi Cox right now, once this all cycles around, he is going to hold a 3-second lead over Rye Jones. He's way out in front, looking to win another race.
Ellis Thomas missed the box by a hair and had to back into it.
Ooh, never good, especially under green. That's going to cost you a lot of lap time for sure. Gap from
Taking
Levi
the last
Cox.
set of tires,
Caution is out!
Oh!
Aiden Neese is through the grass.
Talk about flipping a script here late in the race, just past lap 50. 45 brings it out on lap 53.
This was some contact here with the 77 car, a James Barker, right into the back of that 45, sends them around. Now, the issue for a lot of these cars at the front of the field, or a lot of these cars who just pit, is going to be that they've used up their last set of tires. With the exception of Matthew Karakov, all these cars who stayed out still have 4 tires left in the pit box. That is going to give them a massive advantage, even if they do have to drop through the field to use it. This is going to be a really interesting end of the race here.
Looked like Aiden Neese had to back down the corner a little bit more. Barker not quite ready for it. Not sure entirely what the disconnect was there. But nonetheless, it brings out that yellow flag. Chris French will have an opportunity to bring it down pit road one more time. Ellis Thomas, though, he's going to fall all the way back to the 30th position there.
Yeah, he really got hurt. He got hurt the worst in that out of anybody. Because he got...
And there's a little bit of hardware malfunctioning there for Aiden Neese is what caused that problem.
He is running, yeah, he's running one lap down right now, so that's certainly not going to help him. Let's see here. Oh yeah, so what happened there is he almost hit the leader there under caution. It looked like his gas pedal might have got stuck because he was accelerating instead of braking, coming down there and past a bunch of cars. Everybody will make that move into the pits right now, including the 53 of Chris French. All of those guys who stayed out for that whole stint. It'll cycle Levi Cox back around to the lead, but he will be on 10-lap older tires compared to all these guys who are making the move down right now. We'll see if these guys are able to get it back up towards the front or if it's too little too late for the ones who are pitting right now.
I'm almost going to have to say it's too little too late because by the time that we get back to green flag racing, we're already inside 10 to go. And we've got 2 more laps around, so we'll see that green flag drop here on lap 58, the start of lap 58. So it's just a quick sprint here to the very end. We're going to see all these tires up at the front. They're going to get cooled back down. Maybe not quite to optimal temperature. Obviously, a little bit of wear still at play. That is a very, very short sprint for these guys that have to drive through the rest of the field that just pit.
And the track temp has not dropped at all. It's still sitting at 115 degrees, which means this place is still very, very slick for a lot of these drivers. Aiden Neese sitting in his pit stall right now, so he is likely to go more than 1 lap down. That'll likely end his race. He'll join Dave Grajewski, Robert Brobst, and Patrick O'Toole as the cars multiple laps down and out of the race. Back up front, it will be Levi Cox leading them back around here. He'll be joined up front by Rye Jones, who got a big break there. If that stayed green, he was going to need to pick up 3 seconds on that 54 car if he wanted to win the race. Now, he's right behind him, and he's got a real chance to get it done. Evan Pienta will be 3rd. Chris Smith and Derek Smith, like we've said, been together all season. They're 4th and 5th. Brian Brobst, Braxton Deweese, Devin Jack, Brandon Ayers, and James Danforth round out the top 10. Of these cars, the worst tires belongs to Brian Brobst in 6th, who pit 15 laps to go. The best, James Danforth in 5th, who pit 6 laps to go.
Well, looking through some of the information given here, I haven't received anything from race control as to anybody being at fault for that caution. However, has just released Aiden Neese from the pit, so it looks like the 45 will get back on the track, but laps down will not help. Need a couple of more cautions here if the 45 wants to try to gain any positions before we see the end of this race. And we've seen it once. Cautions do breed cautions. There is that possibility. That's going to get a lot of these drivers just ready to go to see that checkered flag, and it's going to cause things to get extremely aggressive out here.
Absolutely. Pace car will pull off here at a 3. Levi Cox has done pretty good to get jumps on these restarts, but we'll see what he's able to do this time. Cars exit the tunnel turn right now. Looking a little further back in the field, the first car who pit for 4 tires there is going to be rolling off 20th. Chris French in the 53. He's got Karakov in front of him, but as mentioned, Karakov ran out of tires about 20 laps ago. He's going to be in 19th, but he's going to be on the oldest rubber in the field by a very large margin. So we're mostly watching Chris French, Dylan LeBeau, Ryan Phillips, kind of in that 20th to 22nd bracket right there. Pace car will pull off out of 4. Levi Cox and Rye Jones will lead him back, and it's a great jump again for the 54. Evan Pienta will get off pretty good behind him.
It's not a bad start here as Cox is immediately going to move up to the top line. There's some 4 wide action back there in the middle of the pack. Karakov rather calm here on that restart. But still, 3 and 4 wide for multiple rows here Down through turn one. And there's contact. A big one.
Oh!
A big one.
Ellis Thomas. Flying 77, still flying. James Barker there. Whoa. We're going to need a replay on that one to decipher what all happened right there. Oh my goodness, we're 3 wide out of the corner, and Barker gets loose into Ellis Thomas into the worst part to hit on this racetrack. He got sent like a slingshot back up into the field there.
Not only that, looked like a top. Just look at the spin rate after the second hit. My Lord. You know, knowing a couple drivers in real life and having dealt with spins and flips, I know exactly what that would do to the driver in the car. And let me tell you, black eyes after something like that are not very fun to deal with. I'd almost rather get hit in the nose to cause a black eye.
That was a big hit for a couple other cars. You see Rob Liedl likely out of the race. Karakov, major hit right there in that accident. He is likely done. A couple other cars were involved on the outside of that one. I mean, Ryan Phillips barely snuck through. Sean Mulholland dodged the worst of it, still took a little bit of damage in that. Better than it could have been, but still about 4 or 5 cars heavily involved.
Well, here is a positive for the 77. He does now have a highlight reel to send to NASA if he ever wants to become an astronaut.
There you go. That's all he needs. Got the backup plan going if this racing thing doesn't work out.
The big one late in the race. You know, we've already had the one caution that kind of flipped the script. Now we've got the second one taking out more drivers. Ellis Thomas, just unfortunate positioning there. Cycled out of that first, or out of right before that last caution. Cycled out in about the 28th position. Cycled into the 18th position after multiple cars came down pit road. So right there in the middle of the pack, just not in the right place at the right time for the 8 machine. Being up front nearly all night long. That's not how you want to end it so close to the checkered flag.
Not at all. We're going to go green here pretty late into this race too, which is going to make it a mad scramble. Coming down to the line, the lights on the pace car are still on with 6 to go, which means looking like we're going to go back green with 4 to go. That is Aiden Neese getting his lap back there on the top, but he will still be 1 more down here. And it'll still be the same cars up front, but they've gotten rid of a lot of those cars who were on new tires. And the ones who are still out there didn't have a lot of time to really move through the field at all. They were all kind of stuck back there after that wreck. So now they've got even less time to try to use those new tires and get back up through the field, which is great news for Levi Cox, Rye Jones, Evan Pienta, everybody else up there. So maybe on those 12 to 14 lap old tires, that's exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was worried about too, Sky, is, you know, we had a lot of those drivers saving those tires for the late race run, but unfortunately that long green flag run that we saw will not be followed up with another one. It's going to be an all-out sprint until we see that final flag. Who's going to take home the Derby at the Triangle?
That is what we are going to find out, and it is going to be a wild one for sure coming down to the end here. 4 laps at Pocono is longer than pretty much every other oval on the schedule, so these drivers are going to have to stay locked in for all of these corners. It's going to be 5 to go at the line this time, and we will see the lights on the pace car blink off. Yeah, there they go. They're off right now. So this is going to be green flag this time around. Looking a little further back in the field, we've got some drivers who haven't really talked about much, but who have been having some good days. Laura Wiseman had some issues early, has that car back up running 12th right now. Zachary Mitchell quietly gotten it up to 13th. Dan Berg dodged some of that chaos. He's 14th right now. Tony Caputo running 12th. Even further up the field, Brandon Ayers has had some problems. He's running ninth right now. And then guys like Devin Jack, who we've seen run in the top 5 for a lot of this, are stuck back in 8th and are going to be looking to move their way back up through the field here.
Very limited time to do so. It's now or never. Who's going to do it, Sky? Who do you have your money on here?
I don't want to go with the obvious one of Levi Cox. I think Rye Jones stands a pretty good chance. He's been fast all race. His tires are a couple laps better than that 54 car. Not much, but 2 extra laps can make all the difference here. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. What about you, Logan?
I'm going to go a little bit further back in the pack. A driver that I've been waiting to see up here more frequently. It's that 15 of Braxton DeWeese. He's in a great spot right now, running in the 6th position on this restart. And, you know, I hate to say it, I think there's going to be a little bit of contact up ahead of him that he's going to have to avoid. But it may be a Mickey Mouse to some, but a win is a win is a win.
Absolutely. We roll through turn 3 right now, and it will be 4 laps to go for a lot of these drivers right now. They're going to be sweating behind the wheel of that car. That is for sure. Pace car is in. It'll be Levi Cox. It'll be Rye Jones. Green flag back out, and it's a pretty even jump. Rye Jones doesn't let him go.
Tell you what, though, Evan Pienta staying locked to the back bumper of Levi Cox on that bottom line. He's got assistance from behind as well. He falls off there right into turn 1. That's going to push Cox up the track. And another
caution.
yellow further back in the pack. It's the 39 of Sean Mulholland again.
You know what that's going to do? Green, white, checkered to decide this race.
Indeed it is. And if I recall correctly, only one available.
Only one available. Here we go. Oh,
man,
that was a
46
massive move.
There.
Yeah, that was a huge send from Chase Berry trying to get his way back up through the field. Sean Mulholland, kind of the victim there. Chase Berry, one of those cars who was on 4 fresh tires. Sean Mulholland hit about 8 laps before him there.
Yeah, just got a little confident there on the tires, and you could see the input on the wheel didn't quite match what the truck wanted to do. That front end pushed through that corner and just right into the side, the left rear quarter panel of Sean Mulholland, and just wipes him out. It's twice now we've seen Mulholland caught up in a caution here, not on his own doing. First time was able to keep it off the wall. This time, not so much. A lot of damage now for the 39.
This is going to be a shootout here at the end of this race for this green-white checker. These drivers, they're going to have one try at it. So if we don't get back around to the white flag, the race is official right there. Whatever the results are when the caution comes out, that'll be the end of the race. But if we all make it back around with no problems, then we'll run 2 laps to decide the winner. I think a lot of these guys are going to be good on fuel. Obviously, everyone only filled fuel, not anticipating we were going to have one of these. But if they filled it up enough, they should be good. No one is really approaching the fuel limit here. It's just a question of making sure if you had enough fuel for the possibility of this happening. Right now, looks like everybody's good, but we'll keep an eye on it as we head down to the end of this race. It'll still be Levi Cox and Rye Jones 1 and 2. It'll still be Evan Pienta and Derek Smith 3 and 4. We haven't really had enough racing time to kind of change the order of those cars. Someone like Rye Jones, Evan Pienta is going to want to go right now because you never know when a caution is going to drop. If someone spins in turn 1 on this restart, the race is over. You've got to make sure you're up there when that happens, or else you could get caught out, and you might not even get a chance to get the win.
Lap 1 is the most important here. Once they cross that start-finish line, the white flag in the air, everything is official from there. It will be an all-out brawl if they make it to that white flag. I would expect quite a bit of contact throughout the entire field, trying to claw back at any sort of positioning they can get. Tell you what, though, lucky dog here, the 45, Aiden Neese, he's got a a chance to gain a couple positions here. He's back on the lead lap as of this second lucky dog. He's going to be back in the 29th position. He's got a few cars ahead of him that are on a little bit older tires. But Aiden Neese might be able to scrap back up to maybe a top 20. Maybe even better if we see, some incidences after that white flag.
Well, we're going to see. We could always have white flag wrecks, and white flag wrecks are fine. What we really don't want to have is a wreck before the white flag. We want to see this race end clean. We want to see it end under green, and if you get one of those, the race is going to be over immediately. We want to see this decided on the track and not under caution. So I think everybody out here is hoping that they get a chance to race it out for the win, except for Levi Cox, who's probably sitting behind the steering wheel of that car going, crash immediately, crash immediately. He does not want to race this out, because if they wreck immediately, he wins the race. So he's got that on his mind. Every other car in the field is going to want to race this out.
That last restart was the first time that the driver behind Cox was able to keep up. So that's definitely put the 54 on notice here. Evan Pienta will be starting behind him again. We'll see if Pienta can put it together, get another fantastic restart on this one. But it's not going to be easy. It's Levi Cox, a little bit older tires, only by 2 laps. But as you mentioned earlier, that 2 laps can be a big game changer for the tires. So we'll see. He's had such great restarts all night long as he's been in control. I would expect that 54 to get a good jump, but you might see some competition from the 55 or the 91 on this one. Keep an eye on both of them for sure.
The 91 stuck with him really, really well that last time around. I was kind of surprised at how good of a job Rye Jones did timing that restart to stay steady with Levi Cox. He's going to have to try to do that again here. This is the one that's worth all the money. If you can't get this last restart, then you might as well be out of the race. He needs a good one. He needs to stay side by side into turn 1, or else he might not even get a chance at it. Evan Pienta's thinking the same thing. When we go, he needs to be right on the bumper of this 54 car, or else he could get caught out. Derek Smith, Chris Smith, Braxton DeWeese, they're just hoping it goes green long enough for them to make some moves up here. Pace car will pull off this time, and it's time for overtime. Green flag's back out, and a great jump for Levi Cox here at Pocono.
A little bit of assistance out there. You see those 3 trucks locked in together on that top row, fanning out right behind 3 wide. Cox to the outside, though. He's going to get up ahead of Rye Jones. Jones and Cox back down to the bottom. Jones can't quite get there. Pienta almost to the inside. Now he finally finds that yellow line. We're going to slide him back out here, and it's going to be the snake down that short stretch once again.
It's never been more crucial for that 54 to try to break the draft, because he's got a whole host of cars right behind him who want to use that draft to get around him. We'll head down into turn 2, still clean and green. It's Rye Jones behind him. Evan Pienta side by side with Smith. But right now, the 2 main threats are going to be Levi Cox and Rye Jones. The 91, as he comes out of 3, is going to have one more chance at this 54 car. He's got the run, but Levi Cox has the lead as we hit the Whiplash SimCam's white flag.
Ryan Jones going to go right back to the outside, gets out from behind early. Cox back up in front here. The battle's on for 3rd place. As Derek Smith trying to hold off Evan Pienta. Chris Smith right behind as well, trying to get around. Braxton DeWeese up into the top 5 now. Let's see, do we have our first 2-time winner? Do we get a new winner here tonight? Levi Cox holds the lead down into turn number 2.
Rye Jones certainly wants it to be a new winner, but he's going to have one more chance at it, and it's down here into turn 3. He might not be close enough. It needs to be a big, big run for this 91 car as we come out of the corner. Levi Cox runs high to defend that line as we're 3 wide for 3rd. Levi Cox does a great job out of the corner. He'll cut down to the inside. They're not going to get him. Levi Cox wins at Pocono.
Pienta holds on to 3rd as well. Fantastic finish there for that 3rd place spot, 3 wide. We've got him sliding all over the backfield here. What a finish that was.
Levi Cox takes the win in the Dale O. Duncan Incorporated Water Systems Contractor Derby at the Triangle. Second win on the year. He finished top 3 in the last season we ran in the Spark Racing League in the Xfinity cars, but he didn't get the title. He wants to avenge that here this season, and he is off to a hot start there.
That he is. A great start to the season. See if he can carry that momentum through the rest of it.
And he'll get to burn it down here on the front straightaway for the second time in a row. Got it done last week on the shorter track, the 1 mile Rockingham Speedway. The high banks there. Comes over to a much different track, the 2.5 mile flatter Pocono. And he's still able to get it done, and he still ends up in victory lane. As Levi Cox burns it down, we're going to take you to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have the results and we'll have interviews from our top 3. Stay right here on Slingshot.
Hey partner, I'm Barry, your pocket crew chief, the very first AI-powered mechanic for sim racing. Got a car that's a little loose or tight? Just tell me how it's handling, and I'll whip up instant setup recommendations just for you. Want me to get even more precise? Snap a picture of your setup, and I'll fine-tune it to perfection. And hey, I'm not just about giving orders. I'll explain why every adjustment matters, so you can really understand your ride. I'll even teach you the science behind the setup. Ever wondered why the track bar is so important? I've got the answer. With Pocket Crew Chief, I'll make you smarter, faster, and race ready. So what are we waiting for? Let's build to win.
We are back here at the Dale O. Duncan Incorporated Water Systems Contractor Derby at the Triangle, and we've got your finishing results for you right here. Your winner tonight for the second race in a row was that 54 car, Levi Cox. Rye Jones brings it home, P2. Evan Pienta in the 55, Derek Smith in the 66, 3 and 4. Braxton DeWeese all the way from the back of the field up to finish 5th. Good points night for him. James Danforth 6th tonight in the 88. Chris Smith 7th in the 28. Devin Jack was up front, but he finishes 8th in the 49, followed by Chris French in 9th, Brandon Ayers in 10th.
Then we get into the matching numbers here. The 11 of Brian Brobes takes it home in 11th, followed up by the 3 of Dylan LeBeau. The 23 of Zachary Mitchell gets 13th on the night. Tony Caputo in the 14 takes home 14th, started 14th. What a stat line that one is. Ryan Phillips in the 27 gets the 15th position on the night, followed up by the 98 of Dan Berg. Jacob Phillips in the 56 gets 17th. Then that's the 13 of Jake Mackey. Last but not least, in our top 20, it's Scotty Phillips in the 29 and the 46 of Chase Berry.
Finishing back from 20th tonight will be Paul Hahn in the 21, or in 7th of the 21. Johnny Rapp in the 52 and 22nd. Max Cost, 23rd in the 63. Tom Lickert, 24th in the 99. Laura Wiseman had some problems on the last lap, falls back to 25th in the 84. Steve Vest, 26th in the 60. Aiden Neese got that lucky dog and got a couple cars at the end. 27th in the 45. Paul Thomas, 28th in the 42. Last car in the lead lap. Sean Mulholland, 29th in the 39. James Barker out of the race in 30th.
Rob Liedl in the 80 machine gets the 31st position, 8 laps down. Then it's Ellis Thomas in the 8 with that late race incident, taking him out and putting him back from the front of the pack to 32nd on the night. Matthew Karakoff as well getting wrecked out here 9 laps before we saw the checkered flag. A couple more did not finishes on the night. It's the 6 of Dave Grajewski, the 5 of Robert Brobst, and the 44 of Patrick O'Toole.
We're going to call up into the interview room now our first place finisher tonight. That'll be the 54 car, a Levi Cox. Hey, Levi, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
2 in a row now. How does it feel?
Sure, that was nerve-wracking. A lot of fun, but between pit strategy and those late cautions, I'm sweating up a storm. But had a ton of fun.
I was going to say, how is it when you've got all those late cautions and you've got to try to hold off those guys for all those short runs?
Yeah, it was pretty nerve-wracking, especially after that long green flag. The second to last yellow there, me and Rye kind of overcooked it, and I think Evan Piento was going to pass us both, so I was super excited to see that caution thrown coming off of 1 there. If that wouldn't have happened, I think we would have both threw it away there.
Yeah, talk to me about that pit strategy, because it seemed with the fuel windows and with the tire strategy, we had like 5 or 6 different ones going on throughout the field. What was the thought process behind doing what you did?
Yeah, mine kind of like road courses here at Pocono with it being so long. I just kind of like to play it backwards, so as soon as I get to the one pit stop to go there, I wanted to come down and get tires, so that opened up around lap 10, came down and got tires, kind of took the lead there. And then cautions fell in a good way to where I was still able to hold on to the lead before I went to pit road under green. And then whenever we come back out, I think I had like a 4.5 second lead or something, so it would have been very tight for Pienta and Rye to catch me there. But yeah, it just worked out well, and then I think tires evened out a little bit too, so that was good for those short green flag runs there at the end.
All right, well, we got an off week next week, but Kentucky the week after that. You think you can keep that win streak going into there as well?
That'll be a tough one for me. I guess I'm okay at Kentucky, but it's not a strong suit, so going for 3 in a row there will be a challenge.
All right, anyone you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, all the guys over in the Big Fast Racing group. Just thanks to them for letting me come hang out with them, be a part of the team. Mythic Metals, #1 hero cards, Overcut, and still graphics and designs for the beautiful paint scheme. And then just a quick shout out to my brother. He's doing a giveaway on Facebook. So if you go to his Facebook page and pre-save his song, Beer Talking, that is coming out tomorrow, and comment iRacing, you will be entered to win a hat. So go do that, go give them a like, go support them, and enter for a chance to win.
Yeah, the Cody Glenn Cox page there. Congrats on the win tonight, Levi Cox.
Thank you very much, sir. And also, sorry I didn't do this last week, but thank you to my beautiful wife for letting me do this.
There you go. Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
We have got Logan Threlkeld standing by now, and he has our second place finisher tonight, Rye Jones.
Well, we got Rye Jones down here on the second step on the night. Driver of the 91. Take it home, second place here. Ryan, how important was it on these restarts to stay as side by side with Levi Cox here in the late runnings? We saw the second to last one. You were door to door into turn 1, but you had Evan Pienta right there behind as well. What were the emotions like here in the last 5 laps or so?
Yeah, on that second to last restart, Levi, I got a good jump on him. I was able to stay side by side, and I was really impressed with that. I guess, pat myself on the back. But we go into that corner, going to 1, and he just keeps shooting up, and I had to let off, And luckily the caution came out, or else Evan was going to pass us both, and then he was going to win because he had the run. So the next restart happens, and I think to myself, I'm like, okay, if I can get kind of a similar restart, what is he going to do on this last one going into one? And so I got a decent one. It wasn't as good as the one before, but I was actually okay with that because I was going to try and kind of bonsai on the exit of one and see if I had the run, but Levi just did a good job on the last restart. Like, everything was perfect. Coming to the last lap, I thought I could get him. I had a really good run out of one on the last lap, and I thought to myself, I'm like, I could really dive this down into the tunnel turn. I said, but it's a gamble in that corner, and there's no room. And so I ended up laying off a little bit to try and roll it, and he just did a good job. Like, he kind of predicted it, and there wasn't much I can do. And going to the last corner, I really thought I could have a better turn 3 than him, and I did, but it wasn't enough. And yeah, that's what it is. This place, it's like I said last week, it's a tricky triangle for a reason. And I'll be honest, I'm proud for finishing where I finished because I'm terrible here overall. But I guess I can't really say that anymore.
Hey, a second place finish. You can't be unhappy with that by any means. Now, next week, going into an off week here for Memorial Day. Then after that, we've got a 4-race run here between Kentucky, Milwaukee, Talladega, and Portland. What track are you looking forward to the most? And are you going to plan on practicing any here in the off week? And which one would that be that you're going to focus the most on?
Well, I'll try to. We're all busy in this real world. I'm actually going to Charlotte for the Real Coke 600, so I'm excited about that. But I'm really excited for Kentucky. I'm good there. Last couple times I raced there, I've had good finishes. And Milwaukee, you could probably ask any of the guys. It's kind of a cursed track for me from bad blood in previous leagues, but I still am kind of decent there. So I'm probably looking forward to the first two the most. Talladega, it'll be a crapshoot on what happens there. I do like Talladega more than Daytona, so a lot more space. And then Portland, who knows? I've actually never raced there, so if I had to give you an answer on that, I would probably practice at Portland the most.
Well, not a bad option by any means there, but we've got some time yet till we get to Portland. That'll be week 7, that last race of the 4. But congratulations tonight, Ryan Jones, second place finish for the 91 team. The floor is yours, my friend. Who would you like to say thanks to?
Oh, gotta thank you guys for putting on the show. Can't wait to watch the replay. I know it probably was a crazy one, so I'm excited to watch that. Gotta thank my teammates at Payday, all of them. They do a great job helping. We help each other out, and gotta thank Spark and everything they do. And gotta say hi to my family. Hi, Mom. I love you. I know she's been watching, and I really appreciate her watching. She's pretty cool. She's pretty damn cool. So anyway, yeah, appreciate y'all.
Not a problem at all, buddy. Congratulations once again. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
All right, thanks, guys.
We'll hand it right back over here to Sky Shrek, who I think you're now catching up with our third place finisher, Evan Pienta.
Hey, Evan, you got a copy?
I do.
Third place tonight. You were up front for a lot of the race. Tell me about those last couple cautions there and you trying to move your way up through the field in spite of them.
Yeah, kind of just balancing different strategies and figuring out who was on what strategy and making sure people were behind me. Kind of did that in a lane or the run before that. Stayed out on older tires and was able to hold off most of the field, me and Levi there, till the end of that run. But those final cautions, it's kind of what I was hoping for. I was hoping that there was a lot of guys there that had better tires than me or that were going to pit and take their final set. And I thought if cautions kept coming out, it would shorten the laps, but it would also kind of force them to burn their stuff up on those restarts. And I feel like after 2-3 laps, the tire advantage didn't really show up that much. Like, everything evened out. And so it was like, there's enough cars between me and those guys with the fresher stuff that they can burn their tires up by getting by those guys behind me, and then when they get to me, it's even. So just trying to maintain that, and then it just kind of seemed like every restart trying to take advantage of being on Levi's bumper as much as possible. One of them, I think I got clear of Rye, and then the next one we were side by side, and then that second to last one I thought was my best chance, because Levi slid up and the bottom was wide open, and I was throttle down getting off of it, and then that caution came out, so didn't get that chance there. But then the final restart kind of was fortunate to get it have a green flag finish, and got put 3 wide down the backstretch and into 3 coming to the checkered there, but was able to kind of be the outside car and get that momentum off and finish 3rd.
All right, well, you've had a great start to the season. You're the only driver to finish in the top 5 all 3 weeks, and you're 2nd in points right now. Is this truck just a car that kind of suits you?
I don't know. I've a long time ago I used to be pretty good, and then I kind of didn't. I stopped racing as much, and there was kind of a point where I wasn't as good. But getting back to it, trying to better. One of the big things is just better tire management, and I think with the truck, it's kind of very aero dependent, and you can get tight really easily. And so, trying to just maintain not getting tight and burning that right front off has kind of helped. And by learning that with this truck, it's helped me a lot. It's kind of funny too, like Rockingham, looking at the schedule, like Rockingham and Pocono were 2 of the races that I think I was not excited for at all, just because they're not some of my best tracks. But just kind of cards fell, and ended up in a P3 spot, and just kind of what I've had the mentality after the first 2 weeks and coming into here was if I could just keep getting top 10s, I'd be happy, and a top 5 would be great, and the top 3 would even be better. So.
All right, anyone you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, you guys for putting the broadcast on. All my teammates over at F. Scott Motorsports. We got a couple crew chiefs over there. We got a little battle going on. Some teammate rivalries and internal bets there going on. Evan Pienta Designs on the truck. Really enjoy being a partner with Spark and doing all the stuff behind the scenes, and supporting all the guys there, giving discount paints to drivers. My family, and yeah.
All right, congrats on the podium tonight, Evan Pienta.
Thank you, guys.
Well, that'll take us to the end of tonight here at Pocono, but coming up in 2 weeks, we've got Kentucky. Very different racetrack from what we've done so far. It's 1.5 miles. Logan, you got anything to say about that?
Kentucky's one of those racetracks that's hit and miss on whether you like it or not. And we had a comment there that a little bit of bad blood possibly from the past. So I don't know. It's going to put on a totally different type of racing from what we've seen so far. The super speedway to start it out, then we go to Rockingham, and now the 2.5 mile tricky triangle. I would say this is kind of the first normal racetrack that we're going to have on the schedule, so I'm excited to get to it. 110 laps on the board for that one. Certainly going to be action-packed, especially after the off week. These drivers will be ready to go.
Absolutely, they will. If you've enjoyed tonight's coverage, be sure to like and subscribe to Slingshot Racing Media, and you'll get the rest of the season here in the Mythic Metals Truck Series presented by Spark Racing League. For everybody behind the scenes, both at Spark and SRM, for Logan and Kobe up here in the booth with me, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Have a good night.